Our chair is Arunma Oteh, Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission for Nigeria.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me join others in welcoming you and saying also how really delighted I am to be chairing the first panel today. You all have your packs, so I won't take our time because I have a very distinguished panel of introducing each of the panelists. I'd like to just say a few words about why this topic is so essential at this time. I think as Africa becomes the opportunity for everyone in the world, the public markets are usually, in a sense, the first port of call for anyone who's looking to invest in Africa. So I'm really delighted that the Africa Investor has put together this distinguished panel of experienced heads of exchanges and also someone I call the Ambassador of Africa for Businessmen, Jay Island, to give you a real perspective. Let me start with a regulator's perspective, because I believe I'm the only one on the panel who's a regulator. I'm really pleased to be standing here to say that over the last few years, you've seen each market in Africa focus much more on creating a strong regulatory environment that is supportive of the investor, whether domestic or international. And that's because many of us are members of the International Organization of Securities Commission, which is a global body that basically sets the standards for all capital markets around the world. We are fortunate at SEC to sit on the board along with South Africa and Morocco, where we decide what those standards are. But one of the key objectives of that standard is really to protect the investor, whether domestic or international. For us in Nigeria, creating that supportive, strong regulatory environment is very critical. We feel that it's important to make sure that we use global best practice, we have the best systems, but also that our enforcement is tough, so that people know that if you do the wrong thing, you'll be brought to book. Many of you have followed some of the examples of the actions that we've taken as SEC Nigeria. I'm also very proud of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, which, as you know, over the last 4 years, has undergone reform. One of the things that excites me is a trading platform for the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the XGen, which basically is the kind of platform that you'd have anywhere in the world and basically positions us as a gateway into Africa. I want to also say that we have a central depository that is first class, that is rated by Thomson's Ratings, and that is adequately regulated. Because of that, over the last few years, you've seen foreign investor participation in the Nigerian stock market go up to 70% versus 30% for domestic investors. Right now, we're at 50-50 domestic and foreign investors. And foreign investments is predominantly institutional investments. We are, I think, 18% of the Morgan Stanley index for frontier markets has 18% of that index coming from Nigerian blue chip companies. I want to end these few remarks by saying that we recognize that some of our markets are quite small. So within West Africa, we're also very delighted about the success that we've had with integration. And this is an initiative that's been led by each of the regulators, each of the exchanges in West Africa to ensure that when you position yourself to enter any of those markets, essentially you're able to cover the West African market. I wanted to say a few words about this just to set the tone and to say that indeed we are open for business. Some people are enjoying the gains of being a first mover, and I'm sure that the panel will probably speak a bit more about some of the issues that I've raised. I want to thank you.
Doing business in Africa. You can't afford to be without Africa Investor.